there will be no real non-controlled currency in the world.
We're coming for you, banks.
Increasing the block size to 32 megabytes right now. What would be the top 5 arguments that would get hurled against me?
Oh, that's a good one.
There are a few that the big blockers got right.
Ching, like all these coins splash into the wallets of all the winners. I love that.
There's a new threat out there. It's crypto.
All right, hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency. This is episode number 131, Argentina Conference preview featuring Marcelo. Today is Saturday, the 28th of September, 2024. I'm your host, Jeremy. Jet is doing the producing and filling in as the voice of God, somebody said recently, in the disembodied voice of God coming in to correct us whenever we get anything wrong. Just joking. Quick announcement, our fundme.cash campaign is still running. Fundme.cash, send us some sats. Thanks. And the price is at $351.57 US scam cents for 100 megasats, which is flat. 1 BTC sat buys 187 BCH sats, which is down slightly, and 1 Ethereum buys 760.39 megasats, also down slightly. Okay, our guest today is an absolute BCH all-star funder, long time regular, I guess, on the show. This is what, your third appearance, I think, now, right?
Yeah. I aim to be, I want to tell my grandchildren, maybe when BCH is the reserve currency of the world, I will tell them, look, I was there, and I've been there many times, more than anyone else. That's my goal.
More than anyone else is a high bar, actually. I looked into this a little while ago because I thought maybe we could do, like, at some time a BCH podcast quiz or something like that. And I thought who would, what kind of questions would there be on it? I believe the highest current attendees or guests on the show have been Cheap Lightning. I think has about 6 appearances. Wow. He was in a couple of guest episodes, in group episodes, as well as being on himself. And Ryan Giffen also is up there with, I think, 6 or 7, because he's lucky because he's got a regular slot every year at the end of April. That just coincidentally he just got on a good roll there. And then also at the Christmas show, he's on that every year too. So he's racking up like multiple appearances every year. So I think
up my game.
Yes. Well, you'll need a recurring slot. So I guess this is a good start. This is a good start. What have you been up to recently? How you been feeling about BCH? Before we get into all the conference stuff, just in general, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here, and I don't know if people are so happy to see me again here, but I'm happy to be here. I'm a fan, I'm a follower, and so I'm up to date. And if you are up to date about BCH, you have to be happy because we are doing well. I mean, and not only we are doing well, because you can say that without saying anything. We are doing well in what matters, I think, and that's something that will last. When you have those, company coins, scam coins, call it what you will, they have their good moments, but then the venture capital money disappears and everyone just goes away. So that's not what's happening here. We have the right people, I think. Not everyone will be knowing everything that matters, and not everyone will be, let's say for the right reasons, but enough people are there to form this nucleus that persist, and that's what we need. We need to be there. We need to persist. This is what's characterized the successful movements in general. It's people that are laser focused and people that will not give up because life always gives you challenges. I mean, shit happens to everyone. And so what do? You give up or you keep focused? So that's for better, or I mean, it's not, if the movement is a bad movement, that's bad. But you have to recognize that even, I've been studying the start of big movements, and then everyone says, yeah, they are there. It was like predestined. No, it was not. These guys were there, and they were like fanatically focused from the beginning. Let's say the Soviets, they were not destined to win, and they won, unfortunately. And there are many other examples. That's why I like this image of the founding fathers. Sometimes it's for good, sometimes it's not, but it's the way it is. This is the world that we inhabit. We do not choose how a movement wins, but there are some things. There are some, let's call them rules. If you do not have that spirit, yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees. No one. There's no successful movement that started with guarantees. If you want guarantees, you kill yourself. That's the only guarantee. You will die.
That's not a guarantee. Then you've just opened a whole new box of what's on the other side. That's one of the least guaranteed things you can do.
No, you can miss. You can miss. So even that is not guaranteed. But the point is, yes, you have to understand that not everyone is this way. So if you have this kind of people on your side, you have something that almost anyone have. And we have to remind ourselves the importance of this. No? The right people with the right mindset, with the right goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what I like to say is we're sort of optimizing for resilience. And I think if you could optimize for any one thing, that would be it, right? The longer you last, you can win just by outlasting everyone else. That's the ultimate and only way to win. You only need two elements to succeed at anything. One is just relentless persistence, and then the other is change, that you're adapting to feedback. Because if you don't have that second element, well, you can be resilient, but you're going to get past eventually if you're just bashing your head against a wall like a robot or an NPC. But because I was thinking about this today actually, and it's a bit mean to call them out honestly, but I looked up, Twetch, this site that those BSV guys made. I thought, I wonder what's going on there now. Like, I feel like their community's kind of fallen apart. So I looked on there, and they just have a page which says, it's time to say goodbye. Like, thank you for being with Twetch. And they've shut down the whole thing and blah, blah, blah. And then also the same with HODLocker, right? Where all these BSV guys, they'd locked up all their money for 100 years or whatever. And now the site is just shut down. It's all like, it's still there, but it's like not working. There's no posts, nothing like that. And then I thought, well, this Twetch one particularly was really interesting to me because they made a tweet that I quote tweeted a year or two ago saying, for BCH to win, it needs X, Y, Z, and they had their formula for all the things we needed to change. And I kind of replied and said, okay, guys, how about we ignore your formula? You try your formula and we'll do our formula. And then, of course, here we are. Whatever their formula was, it wasn't working because they're gone. So to me, that was just a perfect encapsulation of people from outside will always give you so many advices that you should do it their way or you should do it this, that, or the other. But then at the end of the day, if you outlast them, well, that's the proof that you were right and they were wrong the whole time, right?
Yeah. And also, if you are right, if truth is on your side, you don't need that much energy. Because propaganda is a lot of work. I mean, if you need constant propaganda, constant reinforcement via propaganda, that means you are a liar. I mean, if you have the truth, you don't need that much. Even if let's say you lose your energy, let's say the movement, everyone loses their energy. Eventually, people independently will find the truth. So it's that persistence goes even beyond you or the people that you know that are on that moment. So this is something that I think it's important to remind. We don't need that much energy, and that's why we have that energy. Like it's a surplus and that gives you perhaps some people see this in a more spiritual way or religious way. I think there are many ways to see this, but the point is the truth is if you are really fighting for the truth, let's say scientific truth or moral truth, you will have a kind of power that nobody else have. So it may seem that they have that, but what they have is really transient. Is the word?
It's like transient. Yeah, it's like a facade. It's fake. Yeah,
it's fake. So it's this BC money. No, so you have those resources, but you don't have you have the capital in an economic sense, but you lose the human capital. And without human capital, this is a brain drain that's been affecting BTC for a long time. So what do you do with all those resources if you lose the human capital? Human capital is everything. Even the resources. If you say these are resources, it's because someone before understood that this could be used for something. So you literally can't have resources without human capital. I mean, if you only have resources, what you define as resources, without human capital, eventually you will lose everything. So of course you need resources, but without human capital, you can see it everywhere. I mean, there are lots of countries with lots of so-called natural resources that are complete shitholes, and then you have countries where natural resources do not exist almost, and they are very rich. So I think there's a parallel here. This is what, yes, they successfully hijacked Bitcoin, but that people that matter just disappear from the scene. And this is just a carcass.
Carcass, corpse. It's like
So they have the capital, but at the expense of human capital. And I think that you interviewed the guy, this No Para, I think was his name, and he is a BTC developer, I think, and he, of course, he must be a smart guy, but he's an example of the kind of people that is still there. No, I remember he said, if someone gives me $1 billion, I can fix BTC. No?
Yes, he said, I remember he was making a hypothetical point, but I remember that, and I also found it quite strange because I was like, maybe it's not a problem you can fix with money, or that he could fix his wallet, that it would only need a certain amount of money and he could hire a certain number of devs and all that. And I thought, well, that's kind of missing the point, because it's like more money, more problems. If you just get $1 billion, you think, okay, that would fix all the problems I have today. Yes, but it's also created a new host of new problems. Now you've, can't 10x or 100x the staff in your company to fill up all that budget. Well, you're going to have a fuckload of new problems with all those different people involved, right?
Yeah. And also, these are not solvable problems, because what you want to solve is, it's not even, you want to solve a problem that the Soviets wanted to solve. No, you want a centrally planned economy to work. And it doesn't matter. You can have all the resources of the world. You can have the communist empire, let's say, and you will not solve the problem. People will keep on dying of hunger, let's say. So you have to understand. And if the people that are there, still there, are the people that do not understand that this is not a problem that you can solve throwing money at it. So I think this is the typical strategy of the statist, just find a so-called problem that you cannot solve and claim resources, more resources, and then make promises like it will be solved eventually. I need more money, and then if you have this kind of people, you will be richer and richer. You will have a lot of status in that community, but the problems will not go away. Those resources are making it worse, you can say, because the illusion that you will eventually solve them is keeping this scam alive. So I think that's the business. No, yes, it doesn't work, but it's better if it doesn't work because I get the money. No, and some people say,
yes.
Some people say, yeah, but BTC has this network effects, and it's very difficult to counteract that. But this is something that you can say about any movement at a particular time. In I don't know 1940 Europe, you could say the Nazis had lots of
network effect. Yes,
many people were betting for the Nazis. They were saying everywhere, yes, maybe this is the future, and these are our guys. So, are you judging just by what's happening now, or are you judging by the fundamentals? Because what's happening now, it's not necessarily. I mean, if you only have people that are deluded, that have only belief, but but can't justify rationally what they are doing, well, this will not be the situation, I don't know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And this happens once and again in history. This is just the beginning. And I think this is the way we have to see it.
Yes, well, that's the thing. That's something I have learned, basically, throughout I think probably throughout the run of this show, maybe even, is that in talking to some of these guys from BTC, but it's a feature of humanity in general, is it's a very bizarre realization to understand that people don't understand time. Like you and I understand time as something happened in the past, and then time passed, and then now we're here at this new point in the present. And so we can draw a line between this was happening then and that's happening then. And so there's a trend moving in this direction. And then obviously we can extrapolate that to the future, and bang, there you go. If the block size was 1 megabytes and then it's 2 megabytes, it can be 4 megabytes, right? That's literally the most basic thing in the world. You would think when I say this, like all my listeners are going to be thinking, yeah, duh, Jeremy, like what are you talking about? The fact is, a lot of these people, they don't have that concept. Even if you talk to them and they seem intelligent or whatever, some people just cannot understand the passage of time. And then you can see that because that was always the argument, even starting from 2015. It still is today, is the BTC guys have been stalled at 1 megabyte for nearly a decade, and they still don't see that. They still think, no, we'll raise it when it's necessary. Like, they still think that. They can't see that the trend is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and there needs to be, something has to change or it will stay 1 forever. They cannot even conceive of that trend line being flat and what that means for years and years on end, right? And so it's like, yeah, or they say, oh, BTC is slow and steady, you know, that's a good approach kind of thing. And it's like, well, do you want to be slow? And there's an urgency to time, again, because they don't understand how important time is. So it's like, well, if it takes you 5 years to add a feature, like when you're running a company, it takes you 5 years to add a feature that your competitor adds in 5 months. Well, then it's not like, well, we'll catch up to them eventually. No, after that first 5 months, they're adding a second feature and you're still doing the first one. Then they're adding a third one and a fourth one and a fifth one. And people just,
defining, they are not defining what's, when it's necessary. Okay, $300 fees. Is that necessary? Is that the moment? I don't know. There's no definition. So
yes,
and that's, of course,
that's the gaslighting part, that it can just go in circles forever. Exactly, because that's the problem with, that's what gaslighting is all about. I tell you a lie and I make sure that there's no defined endpoint, so you never realize that it was a lie. You think it's always coming in the future, which is, again, just comes back to not perceiving time, like as opposed to just being able to bound it. Okay, at this point, if X hasn't happened, we've got to change strategy. They never define a moment like that, a limit that they can hit, which is ironic. It's all about a limit, but they don't understand the concept of a limit. They won't put a limit on the people who are gaslighting them. Like
they trusted that. I mean, there was a selection. These people were selected because they can't do what you're saying.
Extrapolate, extrapolate through time.
And they are trusting the so-called institutions. So that's why I always go back to this founding fathers thing. Founding fathers do not wait for the institution. They wanted to change the institution. They don't want those institutions. That's the point of founding a new thing. If you need those institutions to save you, and look at that guy in El Salvador in a hammock waiting for, the government.
For two years for his brick for his Bitcoin city. Yes.
That's the exact opposite of what we're aiming for. I mean, we're not waiting for them to build this beautiful city on the hill. And this, and also, yes, now that I think about it, El Salvador means the savior. So he's there waiting for the savior. And it's sad, but history is that way. I mean, most people are that way, sorry, I think.
Yeah, well, that's right. And it's just a stunning thing that we're not taught this stuff. Like, I have had to learn it, basically all in my 20s, in my late 20s, is these ideas. I get it coming to me over the last few years and through the experience of the pandemic and stuff like that. You think this stuff would just be taught in schools to everyone when they were 5 or 10 years old. But I'm like, why did nobody tell? But that's kind of the point, is they don't tell you. They don't know. They just go along, right?
Yeah, and if they know, they are there.
They're already on the fringe. They've already left, yes.
Or for you to do not understand that, what they did understand. So if they are on the dark side, they don't want you to know. And if they are clueless, they don't know that they don't know.
Yes, I thought it was very funny that at one point, Emergent Reasons was talking about the way that BCH is, where from the perspective of the rest of crypto, or especially the BTC guys, but really all of crypto, BCH is like in those science fiction movies where the people are living in this place and everything's kind of shitty, but they get told you can't go over this other place where the rebels went. And it's dark, evil, full of monsters. Anyone who goes over that wall, they never come back. They obviously get eaten by the dinosaurs or whatever bad stuff is over there is really, really bad. And here is the safe, good bit. And so they live in that existence. And then, of course, in the course of the movie, the hero, has some reasoning that forces him to explore over the wall. And at the end of the movie, he gets to the other place and he discovers it's flipped. It's the other way around. He was in the bad part and he finds the good part, but he was told that was the bad part. And when he gets to the good part, he's like, this is why nobody ever comes back, because they're in the good part.
That's the first Ayn Rand book. That's the theme. It's written in Russian, I think. It's so early that she didn't even dominate the English language. It's a great book. I recommend. I think it's Himno. I don't know how to translate that, but doesn't matter.
Well, we'll look it up. Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand's first book. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll have to look into that. I've read a little bit of Ayn Rand, but definitely not that. Anyway, it's I think it's good to hear that you're seeing the same thing as me. Are you seeing also what I've been talking about recently, that I'm starting to lose track of what is going on? That, when we talked on the show a couple of years ago, right, we could comprehensively cover everything. In fact, we were doing the whole history because at the time there wasn't so much new stuff to talk about. And then obviously at a certain point we had to talk about what was going on like now. And now we can talk about what's going on now, but we basically can't cover everything because there's all this stuff popping up that I'm not even aware of. So even if I wanted to cover it all, I couldn't, because it's happening outside my visibility, right? Yeah.
And people just appearing from, you don't even know. It's not always the same community. It's you can call it a community, but people are coming from different places, and I think that's the reason is that they see here what the original spirit, what was lost in all these other projects.
And what do you think about people that are arriving who come not with that historical context and they find their way into BCH? Are you seeing that we're doing a good job of integrating those people? Because there's a balance. You and I would always want to sit here and talk about the old days and yada yada, and you do need to give those messages and those lessons to the new adopters, because if they don't have that history, they don't have that context, then the mistakes will just be repeated, right? But at the same time, you can't bore them or overwhelm them with all. They're here for what's happening now, not sort of ancient war stories of the past, right? How do you strike a battle there, balance there?
Yeah. At some point they will say, "Shut up, Grandpa." I know, but you've been there and you've been wounded, and we don't care. We want to look at the future. So yes, there's a balance, and that's when we were organizing the conference. We were talking about this and discussing. I don't want to leave that outside. I don't want to make it all the only focus, but I think that's important. And I think the book, Hijacking Bitcoin, I have this strategy that is, if I see someone that is somewhat interested, I just give him a copy. I bought lots of copies, and I'm sending everywhere. I don't care. If it's a prominent guy in the, libertarian community, whatever, it better. But even if not, just, are you interested? Because I can talk about this for hours, but it's not, it's not economical for you or for me. Just when you have time, read this. And I think if you are a rational person, you will instantly understand and switch sizes if you are undecided. So I've sent this book to many people, and some of these guys will be in the conference, and guys that are that were not. Were undecided or were not very familiar with the history. They switch. I've seen that, and some people are more into videos. Some people are more into books. So I try to find them where they prefer. So. For example, I have this. I don't know if you want to go into the conference stuff, but
yeah, let's get it. Yeah, let's keep rolling. Tell me.
So there's a guy whose name is, I already told you, he's very known in the Spanish libertarian community. His last name is Bastos, Miguel Anxo Bastos. He's big, how could I define it? He's a very, very good communicator. He's a very, very good disseminator of ideas. And he's like a big influencer right now. And he's maybe 60 years old or something. And he's been doing that for a long time. And I really admire him. And he was like, he didn't understand some things. He's not into technology, but he understands what the minimum to see the potential in Bitcoin. But he was invited to this, to these chats with BTC guys, and I saw that he was confused. Okay, but this should be money, and they always managed to gaslight him into whatever. Just forget that. So I sent the book. He's living in Spain. He is from Spain. I sent the book. So just read it if you are interested. I want to interview you. And he read it, and it was like the
scales falling from the eyes instantly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so this is what happened. Oh, so it was hijacked. Yes, of course. And many BTC guys were very angry when they saw this interview, which has like 7,000 views in YouTube right now, because they thought they depend on propaganda. So it's very costly, and it's very, if you are always trying to manage that everyone gets this, this relato, this discourse, and not that one, because this is dangerous. Well, you are losing that energy that you need to build something useful. So they were furious about that, and they were accusing me of, misleading an old guy that doesn't understand really the intricacies of the technology, whatever. But this guy is used to he's used to debate socialist, communist, so he's not afraid of critics. You will not bully him into submission, let's say. So that was a big win for truth, not for me, not for BCH, for truth. And there's another guy who also will be at the conference. By the way, Bastos, Miguel Anxo Bastos, made a video, like a message for the community, which is great, and it's already recorded. We are translating it, and it will be played in the conference. And there's another guy whose name is Eduardo Marty. Eduardo Marty is one of my heroes of my, let's say, my youth, my adolescence. Because he was the kind of guy that there to talk about things that were taboo here at that time. Because people think, yes, Milei he came to do this dirty work. We had an example before, after hyperinflation. So, but that time was different because people were fed up with hyperinflation. I mean, hyperinflation is like after war. I think it's the worst thing. I mean, it's not like 100% per year. It's per day or more. And I remember that. So at that time, when the new president came to clean the mess, people were desperate. They were not aligned ideologically, let's say. They just accepted whatever. If we could beat hyperinflation, that was good enough. So there was no like a libertarian movement like we have today, or something like that, liberal in the European sense or libertarian. So at that time, even if we had that kind of government that they recognized that the states should be smaller, this it was very difficult to defend that government. You had the mass media against the government, and this guy was talking about, the ideas of freedom, defending the Austrian school of economics, and I was like, what's he doing? I mean, it's very strange to see this on TV and talking about the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneur as the hero. He's a fan of Ayn Rand also, and at that time, the entrepreneur was something like dirty about all this. This is a cultural thing, and I think it changed a lot since that time. But this guy was doing was battling. Was doing this work that nobody else was doing, as far as I knew, and so that's why I sent this book, Hijacking Bitcoin, to him. Said, Eduardo, just read it. I knew that he bought BTC almost at the peak. Perhaps, I don't know, some family members. He's 70-something years old now. So someone said, you should buy this. And he bought, but I know that he is able to, he's not, again, subjected to this pressure. So he read the book and he said, look, I read like a novel, like a novel, adventures novel. It was like I read in just a day. And he was completely convinced. And I interviewed him, and he said, "You had something like you have to beat these guys. These are the bad guys." Like he made like a movie out of it, and it is in a way. I mean, the future we will have movies with you as.
Yeah, well, I've always thought about that. I think it would be so cool. At some point, somebody will make a Bitcoin early days Netflix series, and it will be so cool because I can already see, like, in every different episode you could have a different person following a different person, and then they would slowly overlap and build into each other. Like, so each episode it would start with like a different opening scene, a young Eric Voorhees, and then he starts to crop up in the story, and then the next episode, it's like, I don't know, every episode, like somebody wakes up, like their eyes open, and that's the first shot is them, their eyes opening, and then they're doing whatever, and you're introduced to each new character, like that same way, one episode after another, but it all becomes a cohesive storyline because that's how it operated in the real world, right? Like, people are on each other's phone screen. Somebody, Andreas Antonopoulos, is making a video. Oh, Mount Gox is melting down. It would be so cool if it was done well. It would be amazing.
Yeah. And you've been thinking about that. It's almost already.
I'd love to do it. Exactly. I would love to do it. Trust me. Once we're all rich as shit with global reserve currency, we've got all day and some AI tools and whatever. We'll just crack on. We won't even need the real people to be the actors or whatever. We'll just put in a couple of photos of them and write up exactly what happened, and then boom, just generate it all.
Yeah. So where were we? So this guy will be talking the first day the conference, and I'm waiting for that because I think he's used to, he's the kind of guy that likes battle. So there's truth. You could say that. Yes, you can be convinced of something, but don't have the spirit that is needed to fight for it. So if you are right and also have that spirit, you are special. Yes, you could say that, and I think we have to understand that there's that kind of guys are on the other side also. I mean, they are convinced. And they like the fight. So if we don't do anything, they will win.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what you're touching on here is so important as well, because that is just going to be, I think in retrospect, is going to go down as maybe one of the top 10 moments in Bitcoin history, the release of Hijacking Bitcoin. The change that has brought about has been absolutely unprecedented. Like the before and after of the release of that book was just immense. For all the work that BCH community has done trying to dispute people and debate and on Reddit threads and all of that stuff, I feel like if you even added up all that combined, it was maybe like less than 50% of the 100%, where the other 50% was just hijacking Bitcoin. Like that one game changer just came in, and it's so good. It gets everything right. It's all cited. Nobody was able to poke any flaws in it. Roger was probably the only person in the world who could release it to have that exact impact, because he gave it the credibility, not only of it being about Bitcoin, but also about him telling the story from a different angle. And everybody knew that he had been vilified, and he didn't go and say, I was vilified and here's all the stuff. He just stuck to the facts. And it's just such a game changer.
Also,
yes.
That's not. I mean, Steve Patterson also. By the way, we
credit to him too. Yeah.
We made. We wanted a very good translation into Spanish, because there are versions circulating that are like automatic translation, which are fine, but if you are new to the scene, maybe you will be confused a little bit with some concepts. It's far from perfect. So we wanted a perfect translation, and we did it with guys that are into that, and we will have. I'm not sure, but I think we will have these copies in Spanish for the conference. At the beginning, we wanted to give away to each attendant, but I think we will not be able to do that. I'm not sure, but at least I think we will be able to have a stand and sell that, of course, for BCH.
Amazing. Yeah, I just think when the history books are written, like top 10, Bitcoin moments, the release of the white paper, the founding of the Genesis block, the pizzas, first purchase, Mt. Gox blowing up. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that you can just, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't really that important. The block size war, the split to BCH, hijacking Bitcoin. That was maybe the next major event, once you zoom out to the scale of 50 or 100 years.
Are waking up because of that work, and it's out there. I mean, people will keep on waking up.
Yes, we're winning every day. Okay, so let's talk through the conference a bit more in detail then. So it's the 12th to the 14th of October, so it's coming up in just 2 weeks in Buenos Aires. You've got a bunch of speakers. I've got some listed here on the slider, but maybe walk me through who exactly is going to be speaking and what's the game plan for the whole kind of conference.
Okay, let's see. So the conference, when we started, the price of BCH was more than 700, and we were euphoric, and we said, yeah, let's just fuck it, let's do it. And we had all the support of Roger, and Roger was, of course, the keynote speaker, and a couple of weeks later, Roger is in prison, and the price is collapsing. So yeah, we learned a lot. We learned that you have to live with uncertainty, let's say. But in a way, it was not that bad, because we managed to lock in.
Yes.
some services when the price was high, so that was good. But then with the price down, everything is more difficult. You know, sponsors and attendees, and it's more. I mean, it's expensive for more expensive for everyone. But then everything worked out. We have a guy that's very experienced in this kind of events, and he said, look, usually the last weeks, people I like watching at each other, and for some reason they decide that yes, let's do it, and it's that way. That's a problem because you cannot plan. You have to more or less know how many people you will be hosting. But no, we are good. I think it will be a memorable experience for everyone. That's the point. We wanted to be different from other events. It's, of course, we are not aiming for a massive. If you are selling for BCH, just you have a filter there. But we will have, let's say, 150 persons.
Attendees, yeah.
Each day, more or less. So in total, maybe 200, because some guys will come the first day, but not the second, and vice versa, or the third one. So more or less that. But we are trying to do it like we want it to be in the history books. Again, this also. So first, I'm watching the Grisha, like I don't know, the lineup. I don't know how this.
Yeah, the lineup. Yeah, sure.
So stand-up guy, Walter, is a big casher. he's experienced, and he's very funny. He will basically make fun of us and himself, and he will work as we say here. He will break the ice, because the idea is that people that people feel comfortable and mingle. So we thought maybe we have to start with Walter, stand-up comedian at the beginning. Then we have a story, people talking, Jan and Seba and me, about the history of BCH Argentina, how we came together, to how we decided to start all this. And then we will talk. The first talk, I don't have it all full fleshed out, but it's called "Why Are We Here?" So, many things we are talking about here. I think I will pick up. So, what's the difference between us? Maybe I will start. I'm thinking about it now. I will
live. Here we go, a brainstorming session.
Then we will see. It will be in Spanish, but translated into English, and vice versa. So perhaps I will start by saying, okay, this conference was not sponsored by MasterCard. The BTC conference, that is, I think it's a month later or something, is sponsored by MasterCard and was sponsored last year. Why do you think it's that? Do you think it's because of what they say, that BTC is more decentralized, supposedly, or decentralized? No, it's because BTC doesn't work as peer-to-peer electronic cash. It's neutered, and that's why MasterCard is helping them. So what's the difference here? So that's what distinguishes us. Where we are on a mission. We have a mission, and I think that might be the start of my talk.
A talk, yeah, I love it. You've got me bought in. I'm keen. So, is this going to be live stream? I was planning to go, but due to circumstances outside of my control, I can't make it. Yeah. So I'm now super invested in if there's going to be an online live stream, or the video is going to be published later. What's going to be the story for everyone who can't rock up?
So we were discussing this last week. The idea at first was, yes, let's do it. But if it's live stream, the live stream, the problem is you need people,
managing it the whole time.
Yes. So we decided to put those resources. I know that some people will be upset about this, but on a good, like a documentary, a good movie of the whole thing. And the same guy that did Who Killed Bitcoin documentary,
yes,
will be in charge. So we prefer to have a good product, and perhaps, I don't know, a couple of weeks or a month later, we will publish it. That's what, because if we have just the camera there, you will miss almost everything. It's not, we will not be able to represent really what's happening there, I think. And so we decided that. Sorry for the people that wanted. I was not sure, but now I know. So then the next guy is the guy from Bit, from Liberland. The president of Liberland will be at the conference. Bit, I don't know, the last name is very difficult. But he has an announcement for the community. So okay. I will not talk about that because I'm not sure. I have some information. It's it's a small country. It's not huge, but I think it might be also eventually in the history books, like the first one that did this.
Sounds good.
So the guy from Liberia, then Marc de Mesel will be there. Marc de Mesel is not that involved now in BCH for, I know, a couple of years. He had his own troubles to deal with, but I think he made a lot. He was on the right side of history, and he was one of the guys that really put his money where his mouth was, and he was an example, an inspiration for many people, also for me. And I wanted to invite him, and he kindly accepted. So we will have his perspective, perhaps as an investor. I don't know exactly what he will talk about, but he will be there. Then we have a tango show. People think that we all love tango here, but the truth is the only people that love tango is the tourists. So we have tango.
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
Then we have a message to the community from Miguel Bastos. This Spanish guy. It's like a small interview that I did that we will play there. Then we have Eduardo Marty. I already told you about this guy. He will talk about his, I don't know exactly, but he's a, you could say a pioneer? No. Of the libertarianism in Argentina. He will be, he read the book, so perhaps he will talk about the book and some strategy, because he likes that. He likes the fight. And at some point he was in grave danger because he was alive when the communist terrorists here in this country were killing people, were putting bombs here and there. So he had to leave. But then he came back. Then we have, and this might be a little bit, ¿cómo se dice? Problematic for some people, perhaps. Lillia Lemoine. She is now a politician, so some people, of course, will object. But I don't care, and I tell you why. She was there when we preached to libertarian circles about BCH, what happened, and she paid attention. She she accepted the, ¿cómo se dice?
She like understood, she absorbed it.
And she used BCH.
Yes, she tried it out, yeah.
She tried it out and she liked BCH. And so she was doing what many people that, yes, are not politicians, they are supposedly fierce libertarian defenders of the ideas of freedom, but they will not do what she did. It's show the world, yes, you can have money without the state. Yes, you can buy things. Yes, you can. And she is, high profile person that did that. And she said that she will be here and talk, I don't know, perhaps about this, about the separation of money and state. I'm not sure. Then we have Fernando from USEMA. USEMA is an institution here that is many people that are now in this government came from that institution. It's an educational institution. So USEMA, we have a couple of more than a couple big cashers there that are fighting the good fight, and they accepted to make this translation of the book, Hijacking Bitcoin, and make lots of copies in Spanish to sell in Spain and also in South America. So he will talk about this, about his perhaps his conversion. I don't know. I'm not sure, but we will have then again. What? No, then close. This is the first day. This is just the first day where people just
hang on. I love this lineup.
Then people will talk. We don't know exactly. Of course, we will have a moment for question and answers. But sorry, there's lots of noise here. The kids are.
It's anarchy at your place, mate. You're a real anarchist, living the anarchy life.
Yeah. So, but anarchy is not like it's not necessary. It's not necessarily
not necessarily chaos. Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily idyllic all the time. So, second day, the first day, just guys talking. And the second days, there will be more discussion. Perhaps people that are more into the scene will be more interested in the second day. We have like panels, 3 or 4 guys talking. You,
I was going to be on one. Yes.
Were going to be one of them. But we had to replace you with, yes, Marc de Mesel. The first panel is
that's an upgrade.
Fronts and Challenges is the name. Jeremy will not be there. Marc de Mesel, me, Marcelo, and Josh Ellithorpe. I think he's one of the smartest guys in the whole crypto scene, let's say. So we will talk about that. Then we will have a break and a new panel with entrepreneurs from here, Williams and Gustavo. Williams is a Venezuelan guy that's been living in Buenos Aires for many years. Gustavo is an Argentinian guy. They are building an app that is great. I've been trying. It's in beta now, but it will be usable, I think, during the conference. So you can pay for almost anything. If you have, como se dice, las cuentas, something, for example, your
accounts.
energy
bills or whatever. Energy provider.
Bills, electricity, whatever, bills. Or you can buy, using this platform, you can buy prepaid cards. So if you cannot buy something with BCH directly, you can use this platform. We want people to have these options. So they...
Just in Argentina or around the world?
just in Argentina, at least for now. And they will charge 1%, which is fine for each transaction. Then we will have Alejandro, another one, Argentinian entrepreneur. He is in charge of usar.bch, which is a platform where you can buy directly from merchants, and you can pick up then, or you can receive at home. So he will share his experiences. And Joemar Taganna, the guy from Peitaca, will be here. And then Matias Goldenhorn. This was a suggestion from Marc de Mesel. This is a guy that runs like a ATM company, and I didn't have the time to search about this, but according to Marc, he has an interesting perspective. Then we will have a talk about scalability. Unfortunately, Fernando can't be here for the conference, but we asked him to at least, I don't know if he will stream or he will record something, and then we will have a guy here answering questions from people, perhaps the most technical between the audience. Then lunch, then another panel talking about adoption. Again, we will have Jan, Sebastian, Joemar, Taganna, and Gerard. Gerard is the guy he speaks Spanish. He works for general protocols. So they will talk about adoption. Then panel 4. These are commercial experiences or something like that. So guys, let's say successful stories, like a butcher we have that sells meat to the whole community. I only eat meat from him. Is Milcia his name? Then Williams with his own thing, this platform that it's already been working for a couple of years. Now it's like upgrading, but he has lots. Then Claudio, the guy from the La Golosineria, which is a chain of stores that accept BCH. They will talk about their experience. Then we have panel 5, BCH as a solution. So people that found in BCH solution to a particular problem. Pedro, he's a finance guy from here. Iru is a guy from Spain that is we can say that he's a refugee. He didn't like what's going on in Spain. I mean, the fiat oppression is, and he, according to him, in Spain, it's very difficult to wake up people. Here we have people that are familiar with those kinds of problems that in Spain are just starting. So he flew from Spain, and he's been living here for a long time. Then Sal The Agorist will be at that panel, and Luis, a Venezuelan guy that is now also in Argentina. He's been working for BCH for a long time, so he has some interesting things to say about that. So then panel 6, BCH as a refuge. Aaron Day will be there, the guy that knows everything about
CBDCs. Yeah.
Beat from Liberland, Sal The Agorist, and Luis again, and that's it.
That's a lot. I hope we're getting videos of all these talks, even if it's delayed or anything like that. If you record all these talks and upload them, I'm sure they were going to be mega popular. Like that sounds like a mad amount of really high quality content. Like our Bliss videos did pretty well, I got to say, you know, even though we did the live stream. So I think all the most hardcore people already watched them immediately or the day after. But even having the videos there, they were still racking up views. And then people go back and rewatch them as well, too, because we'd linked to them from the FAQs and different stuff like that. So I'm sure that will be very worthwhile if you get good takes of all them.
Yeah. That's all. But we wanted more. But of course, many people couldn't come for so many reasons. We had to left out the DeFi, which is so hot right now, and it will be more with time, but we couldn't get it. I think they are very busy working, so it's better that they do what they are doing. it's we are asking for, you know, a lot. If you have to come here from Europe, that's a big deal. So let me see what else. Yeah. Then the third day, but that's more like just for
more fun, right? That's more like a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Most people will not come to this this place the Thursday, the estancia.
So just explain that. What is that, and what's so special about it? I'd never heard about this.
Oh no! It's just a place where you see the how the people that care about tradition live their lives. So it's like you're transported to a past that it's not. I mean, many people live that way, and we will eat a big asado there, and we will watch some sports that are still played by the gauchos, you know. So I like our cowboys, the gauchos. We have many similarities because when the geography is similar, you have similar cultures.
Same ideas. Yeah, of course.
So for better or worse, I think we will have a good time. See, yes, the idea is for people to meet other people, for to exchange ideas, maybe start projects, and also just have fun. Many people, I think, will stay for a couple of weeks after. I know of many that are planning on visiting other places also. Of course, the places that accept BCH are more in Buenos Aires than anywhere else. But Buenos Aires is a big city. You can have a couple of weeks just for Buenos Aires, and you will not be
run out of things to do.
Yeah. Just in Buenos Aires. But yeah, this is a big country. What else? Let me read your tickets.
No, that's it. Yeah. I think has anything been different? I mean, you already talked about, okay, you had some challenges with getting things running at the start, but obviously in the lead up to it, you're feeling like everything's under control. It's all going well, and then afterwards, I guess you take a bit of a break, right? It's probably been a pretty hectic couple months organizing this.
Yeah. At some point, I think, perhaps many people will find it, will identify with this. At some point, you have to accept, okay, there's some things that I cannot control. I cannot control if Roger Ver will be jailed or not. I cannot control the price. So relax, just do the best, and it worked out. I mean, we did the best, and people recognize that, because it's not just this. These are the guys. These are still here, and people are discovering all our work every day. New people find us, And I think that's not necessarily something that you will find how, like they say, thankless job sometimes. It's so we are working every day, and it seems thankless, but then you realize, you look, okay, we started here and now we are here. Look around. I mean, this was not possible without all the work that we've done. So sometimes you have to just stop and appreciate what everything you did, you achieved.
Everything you built so far, yeah.
So yes, I don't know what I was talking about, but
what about the locals as well too? You said, okay, you're going to have tango for the tourists and stuff. Do you have any sense of it? And obviously you have a mix of the speakers coming internationally and locally. Because you have such a strong community there locally in Argentina, have you got a sense of, like, is there going to be a huge turnout from them? Is there a lot of excitement building there too? You know, are they looking forward to maybe even being able to meet each other if it's not a regular, you know, I'm living in this city, you're living in that city? Is that also going to be a big part of it, you think?
Yeah. I've seen many people that never show up because they live in far away. I mean, you can live like thousands of kilometers from here and living in Argentina. So I've been dealing with people for many years that I've never seen, and now they are coming. So yes, people are. My feeling is that they are as enthusiastic as we are about this. I think it will be great. It's a shame that you couldn't make it, because
yes, well, you'll have to run it next year, you know.
It's a lot. I think next year in Australia there will be a conference. At least that's what was planned. I don't know if they will
come to pass. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see, but I think this is good because BCH is starting to build up, you know, a little bit of a global circuit, right? And then that also helps to draw more people in, because obviously going on a big trip somewhere is, it's expensive and it's involved and you need to plan it and it's a holiday and all that. But on the other hand, it adds a bit of interest and excitement to it, because then other people who are either in the local area see like, wow, this is really happening if people are coming in internationally. And then also when you are doing things like that, people say to you, what's going on with you? And you say, oh, I'm going to this conference in this whole other country for Bitcoin. Then they really start to take that seriously. You know, like we were saying before about just being there a long time, people don't notice that you're there. They notice that you're still there. And if you've, at least for me, you know, I've been talking about Bitcoin to so many people for so long, and then when they ask me about it, and they say, oh, you're still interested in that? And then, I'm going internationally for this conference. Like, that's really like, holy shit, this is something I need to look into. This is not just, you know, some weird hobby or something. Yeah.
And that's commitment without a super bull market or something. So that's the difference. And all those guys that are enthusiastic about this or that project, that they don't care about, they just care about the price, they disappear. And we are still here because we know why we are here. That's the message that I want to get across with my talk.
Yes.
So
anything else to cover about the conference? Any final notes about that? Do you still have tickets available if people are still last minute looking to come along? What's the story there?
For the first day, it's possible we will have more space. For the second day, it's more difficult, but we can make space. It will be not as easy, but we can do it. But it's almost there are a couple of guys that bought tickets after but we still have this in this site we have the tickets for the first day. I think you still can, and you will be able to do it up until the end of this month. You still can buy at least for the first day.
Okay, so still opportunity there. If anybody, like you said, last minute, everything starts to come together. People get FOMO; they want to be involved, and then suddenly it all stacks up a little bit. It's like tickets sell early when everybody's really excited. Then there's a gap, and then last minute, and that's
exactly, and that's why it's very difficult to organize. This is the first time for me, but fortunately we have people that are experienced, so they guide us, and also they know how to plan for that, with that uncertainty.
Yeah, well, it's good. You gotta listen to the experts. Definitely, the first time you do it, you still make a few mistakes, and then you iterate from there. That's it.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, maybe next year we'll do it again. But I don't want to.
Don't make any promises. Yeah. No. Okay. We're live on air, man. Just.
I don't want to overimpose with if someone else is doing this in Australia, I will happily go to Australia and enjoy the conference. I don't know how long do we have, because the next one is about the Milei.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to get onto that. Actually, I thought let's swap around. Let's do it in the other order, though, because you were just talking about the community and everyone pushing through in a bear market and still, cracking away on what's important, even when the price is down and so on and so forth. And I just talked to Jason Dreisner about these VM limits and big ints, and that was something he said, which I hadn't really thought of as much, that if we delayed that another year, then if the hype starts again, then everybody gets distracted, everyone gets euphoric, and things just get off the agenda, right? So it's actually maybe quite a critical time to get this through right now. That's been playing on my mind. But I wonder what you have been finding of the VM limits and the big ints. I'm sure you've been following the discussion there, as well as maybe you can give us some insight into the general Spanish community, because there's been such a big push in the English community to get everybody aware and knowing about it ahead of time and stuff like that. Has that also been translated over into Spanish?
Yeah, my feeling is that sentiment here is very positive, because after the CoinFlex was the name, no? The CoinFlex collapse, I think we all understood that we have to be all in layer one, as they say. There's no safety in layer two. I mean, it might seem like it's like an illusion, but it's a dangerous illusion. So my takeaway, many things that this guy said went over my head. So this allows us to make everything Ethereum. You can do everything with BCH that you can do with Ethereum, but without the scalability problems.
About, yeah.
So that's more than enough for me. And I think that you're right. This is like the split. Everyone knows what's the problem, no? That side. With splits, you have to start from zero. Of course, the network effect, we know. But even without the split, let's say we won the war, and the block size increased, and we have an automatic increases of block size according to demand, and everything is okay. Even in that alternative reality, these kind of changes, I think, would have been very difficult to integrate. So now we can do things. This is a good side. We can do things that would have been impossible. It's, of course, they are impossible in BTC, but even without the split, perhaps we we would be in a worse position. So I'm all for it. Of course, I'm not qualified to understand the risks, but listening to this guy, it seems like he's really, really trying to. I mean, my feeling is that he convinced you. You were at the beginning, you were a little bit cautious, more cautious than now. Like you are convinced that this is not as dangerous as you thought. Is it right?
Well, I think I'm still holding out to once he stops changing the documentation, like he's, the last couple of days, then I will read through the full like I've followed the proposals. Obviously, I'm fairly aware of what's in them, but I, don't want to look at it and then they change it and then I look at it again. It's just inefficient. So once it's all locked in, I will look through it carefully. But I think, like I've been saying on the show, I see a lot of value in the fact that the community seems very on board with this. And I would be more hesitant if there was some people that were a bit, I don't know, because then if you had a bug, all those people would be like, oh, see, we told you so. And it would turn into a big disaster, right? But if everybody likes the idea, they think this is a good idea, and then there's a bug, then everybody just goes, okay, well, we just fixed the bug, obviously, right? So it's like a bug can magnify an existing problem, but it's not likely to create one if there isn't one, because everybody would just fix it. So I think for that reason, that already means that the opportunity cost of an extra year is so painful if we don't do it right now. Jason's argument about the bull market, I hadn't really factored that in, but I think that's actually a very, very big factor. So I like that. And I also think that, the testing and so forth has been done. Like, it's been a little bit sort of late in the sense that, okay, it would have been nice if the big Ints stuff had been known more ahead of time and given, more time to marinate. But I've also been really impressed with how much the community has directed resources onto it. And I think that's something that you and I can also appreciate. Like before, as the BCH community is changing, now there's enough brain power that if something is really needed to be done, it's like, decentralized swarm just jumps on it and it can just get done. In the past, that wouldn't have been possible. There literally would not have been enough people, enough talent, enough engineers. But now we're starting to have that, and we'll have that more as more people are joining all the time. So it's only ramping up, but that's been very impressive to see from my point of view.
I think it's underappreciated because you are learning all the time, and the guys that are not doing that work are not learning that, and they have all they lack that experience. And so if they want to be in the position that you are now, they will have to go all through that. And so, and you need to have this conviction. So not everyone will do that. Why? Why are you ready to face all that, obstacles and problems and, this need to have consensus around something that makes sense and to convince this and that. So you need these kinds of people, and that it's not just that you are able to do that, it's that no one else will be as convinced as you to deal with all that. So I think that's in every front. I mean, this is just one, but we were learning a lot from the adoption, merchant adoption. We started doing some things that we realized that this is a mistake. But what's the problem? Okay, it's not that this is the wrong way to. ¿Cómo se dice? It's not just that this is not the way, let's scrap it. No. It's we did something wrong, but we can change that. Okay, let's do it again. Let's try again. So this is the process. We are always iterating, is the word? So
yes.
So, for example, at the beginning, we said, okay, we have the connections. We can do like 100 stores to accept BCH. Yes. And then we realized that, yeah, but each one of these stores have employee turnover that makes impossible for the. So we have to integrate it into their system. Otherwise, they will not keep on accepting BCH for a long time. So, okay, let's do the work. Let's do the software that they need, and we did that. But this is not easy. And then you have to go and try that. Oh, this doesn't work because of the, and then again. So that's a lot of work, and it's very valuable work. But you can see the value. With time, if you are not as committed, you will say, okay, this will not work. And it's easy, to convince yourself that, yeah, this is not the way. You don't know if it's not the way if you did not really try. So this is, and also in the case of the work that this guy is doing, you were talking about the possible bugs. Okay, as far as I understand, even if there's a bug, it's not a bug that is completely, catastrophic bug. I mean,
yes.
The problem will be for the people that are using DeFi in some ways. It's not the peer-to-peer electronic cash. It's not in danger because of, as far as I understand. Maybe you can correct me.
Well, I mean, it's just really, I think the case is, we don't want to put something in and then have it become a problem like later. Like the problem would be if we put something in, okay, if we immediately found a problem, then we could fix it. But what about if there was a bug at the very end of the number range or something like that, and then somebody did some huge DeFi pool and then, it blows up to hundreds of thousands of BCH, then it's just like smart BCH all over again, and then it turns into a disaster. So I think that's also why there's a sense of like, look, let's really think this through, because once you put things in motion, then everybody forgets about it, and then stuff gets built, and then before you know it, you're in a mess, right?
But I remember people saying, watch out, these cash token things.
Yes.
I mean, yes. We don't have millions of people using it, like making millions of transactions, but it's there and it seems to work.
It's improving. Yeah. Well, but I mean, obviously that was because it was all very thoroughly reviewed and tested, and the same with the VM limits and just this big Ints bit does have a bit of an element of like, it was a little bit late, but I think it's sufficiently related to the previous work that it kind of proves the point, that this whole thing had been cooking for 2 or 3 years, and then people found the missing piece of it, and then it's not like you need to wait another 2 or 3 years. Like, once you found the missing bit that you were waiting for.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to me anyway. So you're in support, basically, is what you're telling me. You think we should go for it, lock in November, get it live on mainnet next year, right? And then think about something else for the next year instead of waiting to be sure.
Yeah. And for the reasons that he explained, yes, I agree. There's a cost also in not doing that, and we have the guys. And I think also, if you wait, sometimes knowing that you have a lot of time makes you lazy. So now they are working on that. Now they are researching.
Like
now
pushing to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are making, they are asking for reviewers, and now it's the time. There's a phrase, I don't remember, like you have to bend it when it's hot.
Strike when the iron is hot. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that this might apply here.
Yes.
I might be wrong, and in the future we will.
Well, this clip will play back. It was Marcelo's fault. That's why we're all screwed. All of Bitcoin Cash failed because of Marcelo recommended that we get just 2 big Ints.
Of course.
No, but I think you're right. Strike while the iron is hot. And I think there's also a big benefit that isn't necessarily obvious, which is that if we ship this, most likely, just like you said with cash tokens, it gets in, it's done, and then everyone's mind will then free up for the next thing. So it's not like sitting up, blocking everyone. Okay, that's the next thing.
Yeah.
So that also plays into it.
People need it. It's not just, yes, I have this
speculative
crazy idea. No, they are expecting this and they need this for their product. So it's not like these are guys that are, unrelated to the realities of BCH today. It's not something like, in the distant future, maybe. Yeah, this is something that, and also DeFi is not something new. It's something that I think will be more and more important with time.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So we got the sign off for you there. Brilliant. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Javier Milei. We don't need to go in all great depth of this, but obviously it's been such a global kind of phenomenon and such an interesting thing to watch. It's been very well commented on outside the country, and I think media coverage seems to have died down a little bit. It was the most exciting when he was doing the election and waving the chainsaws around, and that really caught the public imagination. But I think, at least so far, the critics have been proven wrong. There was two kinds of critics, I think you could say. There were people who didn't agree with this whole sort of ANCAP ideas and thought it wouldn't work. And then there was also some critics who thought, oh, okay, well, this is just politicians again. He says all this stuff, but then he's going to get in, he's not going to follow through, and he's going to, change his stances or whatever. At least from my point of view, it seems like both of those camps of critics have been proven wrong with what we've seen to date. And as far as I know, inside Argentina, his support has only actually been going up. So he already won the election with whatever it was, 56% or 60%, and it's been going up since then. What's it been like, you think, in the first 9 months of the Javier Milei government?
Yeah, I have less and less patience for the, let's call them purists. They don't consider what's the alternative. Yes, Javier Milei is not God. He cannot change everything from one day to another. But inflation plummeted. I mean, it's high, but you have to compare not with the perfect, your imagination. You have to compare where we would have been with the other guy. Perhaps hyperinflation right now. So wages now are beating inflation for the first time in many years. This is a big deal. You can go. This is also, it might sound crazy for Europeans or people from the state, but people blocking the street. This was unexpectedly anywhere. This was a common, everyday experience for all people, at least in Buenos Aires. Now you don't have that problem. And this is not something, I mean, it's for people that work, that need to get to point B just to work. This is why Milei still has approval and support from many people, from especially working class. So people that are living in this, in this bubble,
fantasy land, yeah,
they don't understand why people love Milei. Well, many people. So even, of course, we have economic difficulties here, and these difficulties are related to the dirty work that he had to do. He was forced to do. But even with all that, he didn't lose support. And I think that he didn't lose support, in part, at least, because mass media is not what it used to be. In the past, you had all the mass media against a particular government, and it wasn't impossible to for that government to do this dirty work. I mean, eventually they will, but people didn't have other sources. I'm not saying that young people today are brighter or smarter. They have many sources of information. So the guy from TV, this figurehead in TV, it's just people from, I think people that watch TV news is 70 or 75 years or more. So they don't have that power anymore. And I think that's why Milei won, and that's why Milei is not losing. Of course, it's not as popular as the first day, but he still have the support of almost all the people that support it, and understood that this was a process that we had to go through. And you have to take into account that these reforms, these profound reforms that he proposed, he couldn't do. He could do just a little fraction of that. But if in the future we have a majority in the Congress, that will change. And yes, Argentina might become again. Yeah. Well, I hate when people say this is a miracle. You know, the New Zealand miracle or the whatever miracle, Japan miracle,
Chicago miracle, whatever it was, the Chicago boys. Yeah,
it's just leave people alone. There's miracles everywhere. It's not a miracle. I mean, it's a miracle that people that
they actually try it for once, that they actually just do the right thing. Yeah, that's the miracle.
Yeah. It's a miracle that people put up with so much. But yes, I think that's a possibility. People also like the conviction in Milei. I think that's something that, for better or for worse, we had this big authoritarian figure here who was Perón, and some people perhaps they don't understand the ideas, but they like when someone seems to know where he's going. So if this is Milei, they will go with Milei. And Milei is the kind of guy that will fight to the death for his ideas. And I think for once we have the right ideas in government. At least he's trying something that no one tried before, because the other guys were just opportunists. He's not an opportunist. He's a scholar, but also he likes to debate, and he is a very strange creature, because those kinds of people usually do not like political power, but he seems like strangely comfortable with political power. So this is, I don't know how to call it, but it's I know people don't like people that don't like politicians in general tend to conflate everything, but I think it's something that you can. It's so bizarre. It's so ¿cómo se dice? Improbable.
Unlikely.
Unlikely that you can call it a little miracle.
Yes.
And I know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. Yeah.
Many people will be upset with this. But again, you have to remind people, this is not perfect. It will not be perfect. But what's the alternative? Show me what's the alternative under this. I mean, in this context.
Yes.
I think we are in a good position to be the a refuge for many. We already are for many people, but if the reforms are come through, we can become the Swiss of the of South America.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's certainly caught international attention, and I think I have noticed as well too. Elon Musk has been giving a lot of credit to Milei, who has then been triumphantly broadcasting that as well too. So the reach internationally has been absolutely massive of this entire thing, and to the extent that from a geopolitical point of view, you think that's more or less important. People might have different views on that, but it's certainly it's a surprising story. That's what I think. I mean, you say it's surprising about Milei himself as an individual, probably because you're seeing it more on the ground there. But I think it's a surprising story in the big picture. Like if you unwind 2 or 3 years and you said Argentina would be one of the most talked about and relevant geopolitical countries, people would have thought, well, Argentina, but now it's suddenly big in the news and all that internationally. It's quite incredible.
And it already happened. We've talked about this. I mean, 19th century Argentina was like a country at war decade after decade. Everyone fighting to the death with everyone. That was this country. I mean, and then people with the right ideas came, like Milei. That's why he's always referencing these guys, because this already happened before. And yeah, it can happen again. Many people say, I mean, I just to try to predict, okay, what will happen? Let's see what history can teach us. Yes, and of course it's history. You have to learn history, but what I've learned is that the most erudite people can make predictions that are so far away from what end up happening that if you ask anyone right now, is it possible Argentina become a first world country and one of the richest? Many people will say no, and they will give you 100 reasons why not. I don't think it's impossible. And yeah, but this is for the topic for another podcast.
Yes. But it's been great. I'm thrilled about it, because now I feel like we've just ended up perfectly on the right, little line of history here with the podcast, because that's the kind of thing you can't engineer. It was just that BCH already was there. It was already Bitcoin popular in Argentina, that I already got to know some of you guys. And then we've also been a part of this whole geopolitical story on the show. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, I will get to Argentina sooner or later to, we'll see the next opportunity. Okay, I've got one other. Maybe next year. Well, I might have to make a solo trip, down there soon, if whether or not there's a conference. No promises, but I'll work on something.
Okay. One
other thing I just wanted to touch on quickly was we got this news from the Journal of Global Surgery. So Saqib's project that we talked about on episode 125 had a really big breakthrough where they released another open source article. And once again, basically the BCH community just instantly put in some contributions and paid it off. So that was great to see. But he wrote a little comment about this one specifically, quote, "This article breaks another milestone for us, as the authors are very prominent members of the global surgery community, and the article submitted from Harvard, which has the most renowned academic global surgery program in the world. It's a great endorsement for our journal to have received this submission and published," end quote. And then I have a community comment of the week here from Katayaun. I'm sorry if I probably got that wrong. Katayaun S. Madani, MD, MS, Fix, FICS, Junior. Just made my first Bitcoin purchase ever. Used my reviewer reward from Jogs1 towards making the latest paper by Gab Hyman and Key Park open access. Fast, easy, meaningful step towards making access to global surgery equitable. Who will be next? So I think this just indicates 2 or 3 really important things. Firstly, you have new people coming to BCH for something that they need. This lady was not convinced by, okay, the block size war and even like hijacking Bitcoin and, you know, the nerdiest Satoshi Nakamoto, the mythical thing. No, she just likes surgery. She could see the point of surgery journals. And then somebody said, we're doing this a new way. And she tried it and it worked. And she thought, fucking, this is brilliant. So that's amazing. That's exactly what we should be trying to do. And Jogs is a fantastic example of that. I also think at the moment, a fifth of gaming, which I'm always shilling. Also a classic example of people come and join that for that thing. And then BCH is a part of it. They don't need to be sold on BCH. BCH sells itself because it's part of something new and innovative that they actually need. So I absolutely love that. Then also for the journal itself, you know, this publication with Harvard is like really catching people's attention because it's like a very quick exponential, you know. It was like, okay, they've done 8 or 9 papers and it was mostly these smaller reviewers in different countries in Africa. And then suddenly it's like you only need one really high, well-known person publishes in it, and suddenly the credibility of the whole thing just skyrockets. Not just this one article, but the whole project and all the other authors that have now published in the same thing can now back that up as indirect credibility to their work. And it just goes to show how he's been working on this for a couple of years, and we talked through it all on the show and all that, and then you just get 1 or 2 little breakthroughs and suddenly everything changes. And I just want to give him a huge shout out for the work he's been doing on that. And I'm great, you know, it's amazing to see it paying off, right?
Yeah. I think that this is one of the most interesting projects because it's going against the monopoly also, but this is perhaps not a monopoly as well protected as the monopoly on the emission of money. So it could be a way to gain adoption without, you know, poking the beast, let's say. It's so yeah, but exactly this is the way people using like this person using BCH. And I think she didn't even understand that she was using BCH, which is great because then people explained her there was a difference. But if you say, okay, eventually you try using BTC for this, she will instantly understand. You don't have to go through all the history, as you said. You don't have to convince her. She will experience the difference. So this is very, very important. And again, this is all due to the hard work of this guy whose name was
Sakib. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, over many years, and it just, you know, it's a lot. We've got a lot. We talked in the listener survey about what would be the most. I should ask you, what do you think in the next year is the most important thing that the BCH community needs to focus on? Is it existing apps, new apps, conferences, node protocol development, wallets, physical merchant adoption? Where do you think is the #1 opportunity for us right now?
I think everything, but making because it's easy to start with a lot of, you know, enthusiasm with the project, but then you realize, oh, this is a lot. This is hard work. No, so I think we have more apps than almost any other community. and that's great because we have people that are builders, but we need to make these apps not perfect. There's no perfect app, but we need these apps to work at least most of the time. So I would say the priority should be to perfect what we already have.
Yes. I love it. I love it. That's what I thought as well too. I think the number one thing, I think our protocol development stuff is doing great. The dev tooling has been quietly improving. The wallets have been getting better and better. You know, we've got some apps, so that's good, and maybe some new ones will start, but we already have a couple of killer pieces. They just need to go from like starting to get traction to really ramping up, and then that will draw in the network effect that will flow to everything else.
Yeah, that's why I say this is a priority, because if people start using it, it has to work at scale, and you start to discover bugs and all kinds of problems when more people are using those apps. So, and we don't have these big teams working for these apps or wallets or whatever. It's just one guy, two guys, three guys. So if these problems that you would like to have, well, if you have them, you have to be ready
to level up.
To level up.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Okay, we got meme of the week here. This one, it's the hello fellow kids meme for people in there we go, instantly got a chuckle there, except it's Mark Zuckerberg with the skateboard slung over his shoulder, and it says, "How do you do, fellow libertarians?" So for people who don't know, I mean, this is a classic meme format from some movie of the really old guy in the high school pretending that he's like trying to fit in. And in this case, we've also recently had Mark Zuckerberg just came out with these kind of a bit out of context statements, really, that, he just felt like he was more of a libertarian, and he kind of regretted all of this sort of censorship and corporate manipulation and all this bullshit he'd been involved in the past. And I think this just about sums it up, which is, if he's had a genuine change of heart, his life journey has brought him to a new understanding and all that, that's great. But whether or not that has or hasn't happened is a bit hard to tell, because it always, in the exact moment, it just seems like a convenient thing, a bandwagon that he's jumping on, or a temporary flight of fancy he's having. Whether or not he has actually changed, and only his actions will prove, right? If he really is so serious about all this, well, I better see some bloody changes at Facebook.
Let's say he's honest. Shouldn't he ask for forgiveness, and then try to compensate in some way for all the harm that he's responsible for? And it's a lot of harm. Let's not talk about that here, because I want your channel to persist. So I think that it can be, but maybe, who knows, he changed his mind in some important, but you have to, as you said, you have to show. Otherwise, it's just words that you like which buttons you have to push in order to benefit from this new situation. It's just the words you have to spout. It's not really a change of mind. You have to demonstrate, and you can do it. I mean, you are one of the richest guys in the whole world, so you have the opportunity to show the world that you were, and in what ways you were misled, and how you will do in order for this to not happen again also.
Yes. Do you think we're going to see that though? If we're going to BCH Guru prediction market, do you think Mark Zuckerberg is going to repent and significantly change his ways, or do you think this is just a temporary hobby?
I think this guy, and not only him, these guys are so ingrained with the system that they are. I don't think they can act other ways. I mean, I praise them for what they did, but you cannot trust them. This is something that we have to understand. I mean, today you cannot be in his position and say, "Yeah, fuck it." And it's not him. It's that position. You will be extremely pressured to do something. But if you are recognizing that, yes, you were pressured and they were the bad guys and you are the good guy, you have to do something. I don't care if you lose half of your fortune. I mean, this is worth it. And you can show, and yes, some people will be upset. Who cares? I mean, if you really change your mind, and you can do something for all the people that, because if you were misled, that means that there's a reality that you were hiding. Okay, who are those guys that were banned, that were, ¿cómo se dice?
Censored and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, censored, that were not only censored, they were like
deplatformed and whatever are the things that people always say, yeah.
So what are you doing to help them? And not only to help them, to help this message get across. Otherwise, it's just, again, now it's better for me to say this, and tomorrow whatever. I think I don't think it's impossible, but I wouldn't bet on that.
Yeah, well, me neither. I think it's one of the things that people sort of misconceive as well quite often too, where they kind of think, if I was a billionaire, I would just say whatever I wanted and do whatever I wanted because nobody could, tell me what to do, or I would be so powerful and influential. It's the other way around, It's like, if you're not doing that now, when however much money or what part of the station in life you're at, if you're not doing it now, you're definitely not going to be doing it when you're a billionaire. And the stakes have been ramped up 100 times, and there's all kinds of factors that you don't know about. People really. It's the same as well with this. With any like project like that, I always used to think, like somebody who becomes a mega pop star or whatever, those people who are just doing all this stuff in their life, I was always like, okay, so first they get themselves sorted with some money, or they got a trust fund or something, and then they just did whatever they wanted. No, it's like they were doing whatever they were doing. Taylor Swift was singing on a street corner or something when she was dirt broke, and she just kept doing it, and then it started working, right? Ed Sheeran playing his guitar at like pubs when he was broke, and then that's what he's still doing now, but he's not doing it after he got rich. That's how he became rich, So you got to change your mentality. Same as the podcast, same thing. Same as BCH Argentina, same as everything in Bitcoin. There's the people who were doing it when it wasn't worth shit that then suddenly, like once it's working, they're the ones who are involved, because they always have been. Yeah.
And people say the same complainers, they will say, well, it was everything was going to happen anyway. No. No.
That's it. They're only looking from one side of the mirror. They're not seeing what's going on, all the work behind the scenes. And how it could have been different. Yeah. Okay, we got a message to the community. You know the drill. What does the BCH community need to hear?
Oh, I didn't prepare for this again, as always.
Off the cuff, mate. Yeah. Speak from the heart.
I have to speak from my heart, and in English.
Yeah, or you can do one in Spanish if you want. It might be good, you know?
In Spanish now?
Yeah, por supuesto, vamos.
Bueno, a ver, muchachos, ustedes saben a qué me refiero. Todos ustedes, pónganse las pilas. Tenemos enemigos poderosos, ¿sí? Pero no son tan poderosos, no son tan poderosos. ¿Qué es lo máximo? ¿Qué es lo peor que puede pasar? Piensen en eso, piensen en el peor escenario. ¿Qué es lo peor que puede pasar? Bueno, vos no querés ahora arriesgarte, ¿sí? Vos pensás que vas a estar protegido porque no asumís cierto riesgo. Ok, pensá qué es lo que puede pasar. ¿Qué clase de riesgo vos vas a asumir si vos no asumís ahora este riesgo? En el futuro el riesgo va a ser mucho mayor. En el futuro el riesgo además no va a ser solamente tuyo. Lo va a enfrentar todo el mundo. O sea, lo que estamos haciendo es muy importante y merece ese riesgo. Y esos padres fundadores, vos pensá en los verdaderos padres fundadores. ¿Qué clase de riesgos ellos enfrentaron? Mucho mayores que los que enfrentamos nosotros. Seamos honestos. Sí, incluso Roger Ver, ¿sí? La figura que es más alto perfil que él no se puede imaginar. Incluso él. No lo van a... En el peor escenario, no lo van a torturar. No le van a prender fuego en una pira, ¿sí? Él ahora, y esto es un horror, yo lo entiendo, pero él ahora está caminando por las calles de Barcelona, creo que sé yo, bueno, en España. Es decir, y es un espanto porque no puede irse de ahí, pero eso es lo peor, eso es lo peor. O, digamos, puede llegar a estar el día de mañana encarcelado con la posibilidad de salir. Eso es lo peor para la persona que está más expuesta. Bueno, tengamos un poco de gratitud para con toda la gente que en el pasado hizo lo que estaba en sus manos de hacer para que nosotros tengamos todos estos beneficios que damos hoy por sentados. No los den por sentados, ¿sí? Nosotros estamos trabajando también para el futuro. No demandemos solamente, ¿sí? Hagamos nuestra parte. That's it.
Okay, all right, brilliant. So quick English summary. You can tell me how good my listening comprehension was. Basically, you said, so we're facing up to some powerful enemies, and there's obviously risks involved in doing so. But two things: the risk only gets worse over time if you take inaction. Then they're getting more and more powerful as time goes on because you're losing the opportunity cost, and also that it's a risk, and we're facing powerful people, but it's not as bad maybe as you think. So you said the example there obviously was Roger Ver, who's the most well-known and the most spotlighted guy, and yes, he was in prison, but at the same time, then after that, he got out of prison. He's currently a little bit at liberty within Spain at least, and that's him under all that pressure and all with all the forces arrayed against him. You're probably not in the same situation, or that was the idea, that okay, everyone else is not like on top of the mountain facing all the problems like him, so surely at the level that we each are at, we can all do our part to make a difference, because if he can do it, then definitely you can. That was
and also many people in the past did it, and you can view that they did it for you, so it's you should be.
Oh, we're going to show gratitude. Yes, you said about gratitude. Yeah.
And how do you show gratitude? You do that. You pay, let's say,
pay it forward,
your debts.
Yes. Amazing. All right. Perfect. Well, we've got our supporter appreciation to round out the show, as always. Our donators, that's been fantastic. Always love it when you're sending in some sats. Our patrons, Ricky and HP. Our sponsors, General Protocols. Check out bchbull.com and hit us up and send us some sats on fundme.cash. Our number one donator, Marcelo, 2024.bcharg.com. You can still get your tickets for another day or two. So look into that. Molecular, Erdogan talk, Peter Willer. I think that goals should be and can realistically be everyone simultaneously having on-chain funds. Emergent reasons, stay grounded, stay awesome, P2P electronic cash for the world. Cash stamps, biggest soundboard for BCH we have. Keep up the great job, guys. Yeah, beer. Try to get Vlad Kostia on one of these next episodes. Would be a great discussion as he's opening up. And you could be on this list for 0.5 BCH or more, and 5 minutes with Cash Connect. The start guide, FAQ, and links are at bitcoincashpodcast.com. If you're new to the show, listen to episode 85, or also listen to episode 17, which we had Marcelo breaking it all down, the whole history of Bitcoin. There's plenty to learn there, and I think in retrospect it might be interesting, some of what we talked about versus how it's turned out now. Celine.cash, if you need a BCH wallet, quick update on that is that we're hoping that we're going to have the stamps, cash stamps, integrated by the conference in 2 weeks. It's maybe going to be tight, but Jim from Cash Stamps has put in a PR this morning. So I know I had a quick look at it. Callisti was having a look at it. So hopefully we can ship that, because that's been very popular. A lot of people have been using Cash Stamps and having a blast with that. So we're trying to get that into Celine. And we've been a little bit behind on the releases, but we've got more coming in the pipeline there. Okay, this is pretty much the end of the show. As always, where can people find more of you, and any final shout outs, Marcelo?
El Bitcoin is arroba El Bitcoin in Twitter, X, and we upload everything there. So if you want to know what we're up to, just go to arroba. How do you say arroba?
Yes, at. You just say at
El Bitcoin. And you have all the episodes of
information and links
also.
Yeah, watch some No Hay Almuerzo Gratis. Jet, any shout outs?
Yeah, this one's to JF in the Telegram chat. I think you're pretty cool too, man. That's what I woke up to that message and I was like, all right, that brightens my morning a little bit.
That's cool. And I've got to give a shout out to Diego von Dernovaria and the Gravy Maker, who I said before the show, like, does anybody have any quick questions they wanted? One was asking about Paytaka. Could we talk a bit more about Paytaka? You actually mentioned Joemar is going to be in Argentina, so they might be able to look into that when those videos get published. But yeah, they've been doing a fantastic job, and we did a whole episode of the podcast related to that. So for people who are interested, can look up Joemar's episode to get all the details. And Gravy Maker was talking about book reviews. I've read Hijacking Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Standard, Broken Money, etc. I haven't read Broken Money. That's the Lynn Alden one. So I'll need to look into that. But I think, yeah, the Bitcoin literature, maybe the BCH community needs to up its game. We've already got Hijacking Bitcoin, but there's so many of the BTC ones. They have like 50 of them. They're churning out like the same rehashed stuff over and over. We need like a couple of good entries. We've got that one, but we could really do with another one. You know, we need to write some other bit, the history of BCH splits. Like, you could do more in detail of that, or you could do the theory of Bitcoin, you know, something maybe a bit more futuristic, talking about the future. I've thought like the podcast FAQ articles at a certain point, I could just compile them all up and you could release that almost as a book too. So anyway,
fiction.
Yes. Oh, some fiction. Yeah. Well, then we've got Devin Erickson, Theft of Fire. Give that one a bit of a shout out. People can check that out. That's Bitcoin is mentioned in that. And I didn't get into him with it, but I kind of thought, you know, he's lucky because if he decides that BCH is actually kicking off, he can subtly implant into the next book that when he said Bitcoin, he meant that BCH had won and had become just known as Bitcoin, and the name had changed. So I wonder if that's a little thread or an Easter egg he can pick up on, but that's only if he obviously gets convinced himself. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's it. Thank you all for listening. Until next time.
Reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of U.S. sanctions. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. 500,000 kids? I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people's government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.